Hey guys, so in our book that we've been reading, Chains, we talked a little bit about how people might look at statues. Like in the book, we were talking about King George III statue that was there in the colonies, and through the Revolution, groups of people decided that they did not want to have a statue of the king that they were rebelling against anymore. So we talked a little bit about how you might think about, what do you want in your town to be a statue? What do you think is important to make a monument to? And currently, in the news today, we can see that there are many different statues being removed because people have decided that they don't represent what we want our community to have. So, for example, several statues of Christopher Columbus have been removed. And we know that Christopher Columbus was very involved and a part of forcing different native peoples, the Taino people in the Caribbean, several different places into enslavement. So as an enslaver, we might look at statues of Christopher Columbus and say, is that someone that we really want to celebrate and have as a central focus? Many different places have decided no longer to celebrate Christopher Columbus Day. They've changed it to Indigenous Peoples Day. And so with those thoughts of people rising up and deciding that they don't support that statue being there and removing it, I wanted us to do an activity where we decide what is important to us and what might we want to have as a statue. So I'm going to be using, I have just some drawing paper, but you can do it in a smaller scale. You can use whatever you have, and you could even use Google Draw or some other sort of technology to make what you want. But I'm going to go to a blank page in my notebook. A lot of doodles in here. Okay, and one thing that you might think about is, first we might do a little brainstorm. You might think about who or what is really important to you that you would want to have remembered. And so I would suggest taking down, just in kind of a brainstorming page, what you think is important. So I'm going to do that on the side of this, and I'm going to use pen so that you can see it on there, but you can use whatever you want. I'm going to try to make sure I can angle this so that you guys can see my paper. Okay, I think you can see it. And now I'm going to start thinking about what's important to me or what I might want in that statue. So, I might think about, okay, my family is really important to me. We have different people that have stood up for things that are right. So I might think about different maybe people that have made a difference, that have stood up for what they believe in. So I might think about people standing up for justice. Okay. And you can do your brainstorming in any way that you want to. For me, I'm just going to be jotting it around the edges because I plan to do my initial sketch right there in the center of it. But take the time when you're planning this to really think about who or what you want to celebrate. I know that sometimes people in my town can just be incredibly kind. It could be something really small, or it could be something really big. And I think something else that's really important to me is that people not only accepting differences, saying it's okay to be different, but celebrating it, going one more step further and saying we're different and that's a really good thing. So I'm going to put people including, people celebrating. And then remember, in my class, if you are not sure how to spell something, still get that idea down, and you can always do that little circle around it and then put the SP, because I don't want you guys to keep those really good ideas inside your brain and not share them because you're worried about spelling it. So we can always go back and check it. So I think I have some good ideas down here. I don't have a specific person in mind yet, but this is where I might pause and do a little bit of research and decide Is there one particular person that I want to make a statue of? Do I want to do a little bit of research to find out more about that person? And that's something that sometimes might be a reason that some of these statues are being removed, because people just looked at one part of that person, that one part that they thought, ooh, is really good about that person, but they didn't look at what that person would represent as a whole. And in many cases, there might be that one thing that people are like, oh yeah, they did that good thing. But then for a whole bunch of other people, they're looking at that statue saying, this person did this other awful thing, and we can't celebrate that person. So really be thoughtful about what you're going to make your statue of. And then I would start to think about, what do you want your statue to look like? So there's all different kinds of bases that you could have in your statue. And you might start off by thinking, do you want it to be a square, rectangular? Do you want it to be rounded? And I think for mine, I want it to be rounded. And so I'm going to start, and again, I would do this in pencil, but I'm doing it in marker just so that you guys can see it. So I would go do my little base of the statue, and, oh, you couldn't see that. I do my little base of the statue, and if there's something, if you're not really sure how to draw it or add to it, you might just make a little note on the side. You know, you can always do that. And then after you've made your vision of it, be pretty powerful to be able to say, yeah, this is going to be solid gold, or this is going to be bouncy, so that anyone that wants to bounce up taller onto the statue so they could see the details at the top, they could do it. So you can add whatever details you want in there. So I want it to be a base that's a little bit rounded, and I think I am going to make this material like a trampoline or like a bounce house material. So I'm just going to make a little note on the side. I'm going to take it down so I can write a little better. I'm going to put bouncy material. And that's going to make it so that later on when I'm looking back at this, I can tell what I was thinking here. And I think that with my statue, I want to make sure that since they can bounce, that it's got some height to it, but not too much that people couldn't bounce. And I think I also, just for safety reasons, I want to make sure my statue isn't really pointy in case someone makes a bad bounce in there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of my favorite phrases or quotes, which is, we rise by lifting others. And in my classroom we have that up on the wall all year. And so I think what I'd like to do is I want to think about all the different people that have made a difference and that have helped people. So I know that a lot of us have heard about Martin Luther King Jr. and that there are other folks that just come to mind, like Rosa Parks and different African American social justice people. But there are lots of other people that were there helping them on the side that their names might not come as quickly to our tongues when we try to think about that. So I'm thinking that for my statue, I want to have just a whole bunch of hands, and I want them to be lifting. And I'm trying to think of what I would want it to lift. So in my sketch, I think I want to have on here, move again so you guys can see that. I'm going to have like a hand coming out here. Okay. And then I'm going to add another one on the side. And they're rounded, so when people bounce on it, they won't get hurt. Okay, and then it might be kind of neat if I just fill in a whole bunch of hands in here. And this is where if you're taking a lot of time, you know. And I think it would be important thinking about the material that I would want to use and what colors I want to have with this. So I might make just a note on the side, all different colors, because it's all different people that are making a difference as they lift up. And including and supporting each other. And so I know I'm going to have hands. I might go back through here and fill that in. But I want to have, we rise by lifting others. And then I think I might try to think of a symbol, because one of the things about a statue, you don't want to have You don't want to have your message hidden so much that people can't understand it. Not everybody's going to want to walk up and read the plaque about your statue. You want people to be able to look at it and understand and figure out what you're trying to say. So we rise by lifting others. I could have a star at the top. I could have a heart at the top. I might play around with different versions of that, but I have a very solid start on my statue. And I might even think about at the bottom of it, what do I want my plaque to say? That might be something to think about. So I'm going to play around with this idea to try to think about it. But what I want you guys to do is start to think about, what do you want your statue to be? Start thinking about, do you want it to be a really specific one person that's important and you want that statue? Do you want it to be a little bit more abstract like mine, where it's symbols and things that are showing something? And I think any of those are okay. And if you're inspired and you want to do more than one, go for it. But I wanted to put this project out there in case you have some time this summer and you wanted to do it, because you being creative and deciding what's really important to you is so powerful. And really thinking about, as we build our society, we get to decide what's important to us and what we want other people to see and know about us. So you might think about, if someone came down from space and they were looking at your statue, what might they learn about you as a person by looking at it? All right, you guys, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to work on my my statue, and then in the you'll already be able to see it because I'm going to have it as the card showing on the video. But I'll see you guys later. Bye.